Argentina held midterm elections this weekend, which handed President Mauricio Macri a major victory. His hand-picked candidate for the Senate, former Education Minister Esteban Bullrich, outpolled Cristina Kirchner for a Senate seat in Buenos Aires province. Macri's Cambiemos party won the 5 largest population centers in the country: Buenos Aires City, Buenos Aires Province, Córdoba, Santa Fe, and Mendoza. They were aided by a weakened opposition as Cristina Kirchner left the Peronist party to form her own political movement, Citizens United. Our colleague Marcelo Duclos of the PanAm Post has a very interesting take on this. He notes that Macri and Kirchner may now enter into an informal, clandestine alliance. Macri benefits from having a weakened and divided opposition. Kirchner benefits by clinging on to the mantle of leader of the opposition and staying, at least for now, out of prison. Although the death of young indigenous rights activist Santiago Maldonado threatened to overshadow the election, his autopsy revealed drowning as the cause of death. Ultimately, Maldonado's tragic drowning was not a major factor in the election. Macri will now need to seek allies across the political spectrum to advance his economic agenda. While his Cambiemos party fared well in both chambers of Congress last week, they still lack majorities. It's considered likely that the bloc of Peronistas loyal to Sergio Massa may align itself with Macri going forward. Labor and tax reforms will be on the table. The labor market in Argentina is beset by the same problems that you find in many European socialist models. It's very expensive to hire people, and it's very difficult to fire them. Cristina Kirchner's comeback is over. She clearly lacks the votes necessary to mount a credible challenge to Macri in 2019. In Ecuador, Lenin, Moreno, and Rafael Correa are on the brink of a political rupture of apocalyptic proportions. Moreno rode Correa's coattails to a narrow and disputed victory over Guillermo Lasso in April's presidential election. Now he has imprisoned the vice president of Ecuador, Jorge Glas, over the Odebrecht corruption scandal. He's publicly criticized Correa over Ecuador's high debt levels, chastised longtime ally Venezuela over its political prisoners, and discussed the possibility of ending Julian Assange's diplomatic immunity at the Ecuadorian Assembly. Moreno has also discussed loosening enforcement of Correa's media law and reversing Correa's high taxes on so-called real estate speculation. Speaking on the unpopular law, he noted, with regard to the so-called goodwill law, it has had a very negative impact on those who invest in real estate purchases or construction, which has had quite harmful consequences in the construction sector. Recall that construction is a sector of the economy that energizes all others. We have suffered negative 7% growth in the sector. I'm going to appeal to the National Assembly to see if I can change that law. Otherwise, we will go directly to the citizens to decide. Ecuador is going to be having a popular referendum next year, in January or February. Moreno has acknowledged that numerous acts of corruption have been detected in the Correa administration since he took office in May. He's called for a national reconciliation and dialogue and has specifically criticized Rafael Correa's imperious style of management. Chile will be having an upcoming presidential election. The first round will be on November 19th. Former center-right President Sebastian Piñera appears to be firmly in control of this one. He's consistently polled in the mid-30s, which doesn't sound impressive, until you consider that that's more than double the vote share of his closest rival. His main opponent appears to be Antofagasta Senator Alejandro Guillier, who counts with the support of the Chilean Socialist Party, the Social Democrat Radical Party, as well as several other left-wing parties. Journalist Beatriz Sanchez, representing the left-wing Broad Front Coalition, appears poised for a third-place finish. Piñera, who served as president from 2010 to 2014, receives high marks from Chilean voters on crime and job creation, as the Chilean economy is stalled under the administration of current President Michelle Bachelet. If no candidate wins majority of the votes, a second-round election will be held on December 17th. In Brazil, interim President Michel Temer appears to be Brazil's Teflon Don. Yet again facing serious charges, he avoided a corruption trial as the Brazilian Chamber of Deputies voted against initiating it. 2/3 of the lower house needed to vote in favor of the motion. In the end, 233 voted in favor, while 251 opposed it, leaving Temer's presidency intact by a comfortable margin. The charges against Temer involve alleged corruption and bribery at JBS, the world's largest meatpacking firm. Temer was caught on a secret recording approving of hush money bribes being paid to former House Speaker Eduardo Cunha. The recording, however, was not enough to convince the Brazilian Congress. Many commentators suggest that the chamber is prioritizing stability as the Brazilian economy remains mired in a deep recession. What many forget is that Temer was once an ally of the Workers' Party and impeached President Dilma Rousseff, whom he replaced. Rousseff had already begun to initiate austerity measures and pension reform before her impeachment, but it was too little too late. Now Temer has launched a new austerity program, which includes a 20-year freeze on public spending. A recent opinion poll put him at 3% support. This has been the PanAm Post Latin American News Roundup. Thanks for watching.